Much of Kentucky and Tennessee is called cave country. Here, for millions of years, the partnership of limestone and water has sculpted a world rarely seen. I'm Steve Horstmeyer, and I'm in cave country for my first trip into the wilderness underground. First, we received an okay from the landowner to use his property, then a safety check, and now it's into the pit.
It's about 120-foot free fall from here.
For centuries, caves have drawn humans into the darkness. Today, the lure of the world below continues. 12 WKRC presents Mysteries of the Caverns.
I don't go backpacking without being prepared, and I certainly didn't come to this underground wilderness without doing my homework. With the help of expert cavers, we're going to take you through a wild cave. Mary, which way?
This way, Steve.
We are travelers in a fragile environment and are determined to leave no trace that we were here. As cavers say, we will cave softly. In the heart of cave country, the brute force of running water relentlessly cuts away at the limestone bedrock. In the world below, erosion plays a secondary role to chemistry in the creation of caves. This is a limestone chip rapidly dissolving in strong acid. Limestone dissolves in rainwater too, only much more slowly. Falling raindrops absorb carbon dioxide from the air. And while seeping through the soil, the water picks up even more of the gas. By the time the water reaches limestone bedrock, it is weak carbonic acid. The water continues to move downward and horizontally in cracks and small spaces between rock layers, dissolving limestone as it goes. The creation of a cave has begun. Sinkholes pockmark the landscape around Mammoth Cave National Park. They form when rock collapses into voids created as limestone dissolves. Sinkholes are everywhere in cave country valleys, but a stream is hard to find, because when it rains, sinkholes capture the runoff and the water disappears. This is the beginning of a downward cascade to a dark, three-dimensional labyrinth of small voids and cracks, an underground odyssey that ends below at the water table. The water moves too fast early in its journey to dissolve much limestone. Rapid downward motion stops at the water table, and water now flows more slowly towards the cave's master channels, its main drainage routes. Now the slowed, acidified water has more time to create large cave passages. Mammoth Cave is the world's greatest cave system, and this passage is an immense dry canyon called Broadway. It was formed as the master channel dissolved the limestone and flushed it from the cave. Today, Mammoth Cave's master channels are well below Broadway. Right now, we are exploring a dry passage on our wild cave expedition. Just like Broadway, this dry passage is higher than passages with major streams that drain this cave. In general, master channels are in the lowest level passages, while higher level cave passages are mostly dry. That bit of evidence is a key to understanding cave evolution. As erosion deepens valleys surrounding the cave making moves downward with the water table, and older passages are left high and dry. But water has not completely abandoned the higher, older passages. Water now plays the role of artist, creating fairy tale cavescapes, mystical forests of delicate formations, unlike anything in the world above. When I hear the word bacon, this comes to mind. But I'm learning cavers are, well, let's say they're just a bit different. To a caver, this is bacon. It's a cave formation without sizzle that mimics the breakfast favorite, and it's aged to perfection. Cave bacon is just one example of how water, the artist, gives back some of the minerals it took away. Scientists call cave formations speleothems, from ancient Greek meaning cave deposit. At one time, cave formations were thought to be left behind when water evaporated. But there's little evaporation in the damp cave. In the creation of most cave formations, once again, carbon dioxide plays a role. Water drops exposed to cave air lose some carbon dioxide. That starts a chain reaction, causing minerals to recrystallize, leading to the growth of cave formations. Cave popcorn, like this, forms as water seeps out small pores, or where a waterfall splashes cave walls. Brimstone dams may start as rapids. When the flowing water is agitated, like shaking a soft drink, it loses extra carbon dioxide, and minerals are deposited as a barrier. Most rimstone dams are small, but on our trip we find these that are 3 feet tall. Wow, look at that stalagmite! The well-known stalagmite grows upward from the ground, while above the stalactite reaches downward. When a stalactite meets a stalagmite, they form a column. If water flows in sheets, the deposit is called flowstone. Flowstone deposits can look like waterfalls frozen in time. Drapery deposits started from a sloping ceiling and give the illusion of graceful movement in gentle currents of air. Remember cave bacon? It is drapery, and cave bacon earned its stripes from occasional impurities in the water. Cave flowers are delicate speleothems. Unlike the others we showed you, they form when small amounts of moisture actually evaporate from very dry passages, leaving behind a fragile gypsum blossom. Around every bend on our journey, new landscapes unfold that are found only below ground. Now just ahead is the sound of falling water.
This is a nice little waterfall coming in from an upper level. The water's just traveling down and going out a drain down in a pit.
The waterfall is in a dome pit, a smaller version of the one we rappelled into. A dome pit looks like a pit from above and a dome from below. They form when water enlarges a joint that extends down through many layers of rock. After we sit and enjoy the waterfall for a while, we have to negotiate the slippery edge of the pit. Somewhere in the pitch black, 40 feet below is the rocky bottom. So we keep a tight grip on the rope and proceed with caution, deeper into this underground wilderness.
We'll meet back up with Steve shortly. He's headed for the dark zone. First, some underground trivia. How many breaths does a hibernating bat take? 10 breaths per minute? 3 breaths per minute? Or less than 1 breath per minute?
Coming up, animals that have babies when they're 70.
How many breaths does a hibernating bat take? The answer is C. A hibernating bat can breathe as infrequently as once every 3 minutes.
Can you see me? You're not going to find me because I'm in the dark zone. There, that's better. A perpetual starless night, darker than any night you could ever imagine. And many animals call it home. That's the world of the dark zone. Meet the cave cricket, a part-time resident of the dark zone and an insect on a mission critical to life there. The cave cricket feeds on the bountiful harvest near the cave entrance and waits out winter in the stable climate of the dark zone. This is a female cave cricket. That spike inside the circle at her back end is her ovipositor. To lay her egg, she plunges it into the cool cave sand. The eggs that are a future generation to the cave cricket are a gift from the land of plenty outside the cave to the eyeless, quarter-inch long cave beetle who cannot leave the dark zone.
In the case of these beetles, they've lost the waterproofing that a surface beetle would have. And so they're very, very prone to drying out. If you bring them into the lab and expose them to the humidity that you might have in an office, you can literally watch them dry out and die in minutes. For these beetles, eggs are a real good food source. Most eggs, just like a chicken's egg, are high in proteins and high in fats. And it looks like a beetle might be able to go for 20 or 30 days on a single cricket egg.
Subterranean streams not only dissolve limestone to make caves, they are also home to a number of remarkable animals. The eyeless cave crayfish lives mostly on bits and pieces of plants and animals washed into the cave. This species lost so much of its pigment that you can see its internal organs. Pigment protects animals from the sun, and losing it means prolonged exposure to the sun could be fatal. It is one of those ironies of life. The cave crayfish who cannot live with sunlight cannot live without it either.
Any cave in this part of the country ultimately depends on material that was produced on the surface, so it depends on photosynthesis ultimately.
Like the cave crayfish, the eyeless cavefish relies on the products of photosynthesis from above. It too lost most of its protective pigment. Eyeless cavefish evolved from what we think of as normal fish who live on the surface. Because streams that plunge below ground also carry pollution to the dark zone, many species of eyeless cavefish are threatened or endangered. To succeed in the dark zone, eyeless crayfish and blind cavefish must adapt to the scarcity of food. They conserve valuable energy by not producing protective pigment. Some also have a very slow metabolism, so they need less food, and many live long lives and produce offspring for many years.
The longevity of individuals in this particular species is probably on the order of 150 years. And also that some of them may not have reached sexual maturity until they were 50 or 60 years old and might not even reproduce for the first time until they're 60 or 70.
In the permanent utter darkness deep in a cave, all animals are blind, even those with eyes. And cave animals have a clever way of adapting.
There is no light information, so what do? You unplug the eyes and you plug in basically a larger sense of taste and smell.
That is exactly what the cave cricket has done. It smells with its extraordinarily long antennae. Its sense of smell is so keen that a cave cricket can find its way back to the same spot deep in a cave after feeding by the entrance. The cave cricket's eyes are very small. It has traded some of its sense of sight for the sense of smell, which is much more useful in the dark zone. Eyeless crayfish and blind cavefish have completely abandoned the sense of sight. Troglobites are animals that must live only in the dark zone because of their adaptations. The eyeless cave beetle, the cave crayfish, and blind cavefish are all troglobites. Troglophiles are another group of cave animals. They love the cool, moist cave environment and can leave the cave if necessary. Some can and do live outside the cave where conditions are similar. This spotted salamander is a troglophile. And so is this spider who enjoys the constant cave climate. Troglozines are cave visitors who may winter over or seek shelter in caves. At least part of a troglozine's life is spent outside the cave. Cave crickets and daddy longlegs belong to this group. The best-known troglozine is the bat. Many bats hibernate in caves during winter and live on body fat accumulated thanks to their ravenous appetites in summer.
This little guy, if he was hungry enough, could eat about 1,000 mosquitoes in 1 hour. So if you have a whole colony of these guys living by your house, you're going to get rid of a lot of garden pests like June bugs and cucumber beetles. Massive amounts.
A bat's wings are really hands with very long fingers covered by a strong, stretched membrane. Cavers must be especially careful not to disturb hibernating bats. Once awakened, they may expend the remaining reserves and starve before food is again available in spring. It's lunchtime in the dark zone. Food here is in short supply, so we brought our own. While the underground gourmet whips up a tasty hot meal, the rest of us enjoy a quick snack. Food and a brief break is a matter of safety, because fatigue deep in a cave can lead to mistakes. Soon, we are on the move again. And just ahead, a room called the Cascade Room is guaranteed to leave us speechless.
While Steve and the cavers push deeper into this wild cave, here's some more underground trivia. Mammoth Cave is the world's longest cave system. How long is it? 119 miles, 350 miles, or over 1,000 miles?
I found every turn is a page of the mystery.
How long is Mammoth Cave? B, 350 miles. But cave explorers believe that eventually the total length of all passages will be more than 1,000 miles. By the way, the second longest cave is in the Ukraine, 119 miles long. Now let's check back with Steve.
Keep your eyes open. There's some beautiful stuff up ahead. We want to make sure we don't touch anything, so try to...
I mean, cave softly.
Yes, very softly.
Oh, look at this.
Isn't it gorgeous?
How long do you think it took these to form?
Oh, literally thousands of years.
Don't touch anything, huh?
Right, because the oils on your skin can actually stop it from growing. There's some more nice stuff right on up here ahead.
Oh, wow, big room now.
Around every bend is more eye-opening splendor, millions of years in the making. We pass a stalagmite standing guard in stately grandeur above its smaller neighbors. The beauty of this stalagmite forest deserves, demands, and receives our respect. Can it get any better than this? Well, maybe not.
This is slick, you guys. Really, really slick.
This is real caving, and I'm loving it. After a couple of tries, I slither through this tight and wet crawl. Bob's years of experience pay off. He squeezes through right on my heels. Nothing could have prepared me for the stunning cavescape of the Cascade Room. A lake with crystal clear water is the centerpiece of this rarely visited wonder. Soda straws, hollow tubular stalactites drip water and glow in our lights. Brimstone dams isolate pools of water that are invisible until our lights catch small ripples radiating across the surface. Glistening wet stalactites shimmer in light reflected by the lake. In silence, we take it all in.
The first time I was in this room, it was almost like a religious experience. If you're not a religious person, when you see something like this, it'll make you think twice. This couldn't happen by accident.
Bob's words may echo the thoughts of Ice Age humans who ventured into the Chauvet-Pont-d'Arc cave in southern France 30,000 years ago. Lions roamed freely in southern France then, and cave bears were always a threat to survival. Many archaeologists agree that the Chauvet-Pont-d'Arc cave was a temple and is evidence of the growth of religion. Was the 9-year-old boy who left this footprint deep in the dark zone of the cave watching his father paint sacred images in a cave temple? The Chauvet-Pont-d'Arc cave is closed to the public because carbon dioxide from the breath of visitors can damage the paintings. You can view some of this ancient art on the cave's website. Early humans let us know that the dark zone was important to them, but they could not live there in the cool, damp air, so prehistoric Europeans sought shelter only in and around a cave's dry entrance. This petroglyph may be 10,000 years old. It is found at a rock shelter in Red River Gorge, Kentucky. Rock shelters are shallow coves in sandstone cliffs. They have much in common with the entrance region of caves and give us many clues to what life may have been like there.
This was their household. You have a natural house. You have a roof over your head, beautiful roof over your head. And during a strong summer thunderstorm, they could be lulled to sleep by the rains without getting a drop on them. This was their home. They lived here. They played here. They were born here and they died here.
Thousands of years later, it was war that propelled man into Mammoth Cave. To help win the War of 1812, the young United States mined saltpeter here. Wooden pipes were bored by hand and used to deliver water to leach saltpeter from cave sediment. Another set of pipes returned the liquid to the surface for processing into gunpowder. The work was hard in the cool, dark cave, only dimly lighted by the weak flames of oil lamps. Modern batteries and efficient portable lights on our wild cave trip peel away the mask of darkness, revealing the gnarled chicken claw reaching for the surface of the lake in the marvelous Cascade Room. There is much more wild cave ahead, so we wade along the edge of the lake, trying not to stir up too much sediment. On the far side of the lake, we climb to the top of this massive flowstone formation and are on our way to Cathedral Hall, the deepest part of the cave.
Soon, Steve will be in the most remote part of the cave, far underground. Before we rejoin the cavers, do you know the answer to this question? In 1925, cave explorer Floyd Collins was trapped inside Kentucky's Sand Cave. He died after 18 days. What happened to his body once it was removed? Was it placed in a glass coffin? Was his body stolen? Or was it only recently buried?
Caving can really be uncomfortable.
What happened to cave explorer Floyd Collins' body? The answer is A, B, and C. The body of Floyd Collins was placed in a glass coffin in a cave to increase cave country tourism. Later, it was stolen. Finally, Floyd Collins was laid to rest in Flint Ridge Cemetery 65 years after his death. Wild caving involves an occasional duck walk through a low tunnel.
Sometimes rope work is involved. You will get wet and muddy. And have I mentioned squeeze? If this isn't your idea of fun, there are alternatives so you can get a caving experience. Years ago, a tour cave could mean passage from poverty to a new life for a cave owner. The welfare of the cave was often sacrificed to attract the tourist. Today, the tour cave game has changed.
As the acidic water travels through cracks in the limestone, it dissolves calcite from within and then redeposits it here in the passageways.
Welcome to Diamond Caverns in Park City, Kentucky, a tour cave owned, operated, and presented to you by cavers with a passion for the world underground.
All right, I'd like to talk to everybody a little bit about some of the formations you'll be seeing throughout the cave.
Tour caves offer spectacular speleothems.
This large mound of calcite in front of us is called flowstone, and as you can see, it resembles a frozen waterfall. Here you can see the stalactites dripping from the ceiling, each drop of water depositing a minute grain of crystal behind, and eventually the two can meet to form a column.
For your trip underground, the constant cave temperature is the annual average of the world above. In southern Kentucky, that's 58 degrees. Sidewalks and steps allow you to concentrate on the beauty, not where you put your foot. And bridges span underground streams, so you stay dry.
It's fun, it's educational, it's beauty, and it is not something that requires any special training or equipment. These facilities are designed with the average person in mind, with children in mind. The great thing about a cave is you don't have to be a serious, quote, cave explorer.
We finally made it. Big, beautiful Cathedral Hall is 800 feet underground, and much of it a glistening white winter landscape that never melts.
The wider the formation is, the more pure calcite it is. When you see brown in it, then the mud has gotten in with it. If it is a reddish color, then usually that's iron oxide mixed in with it. A black color gives you manganese oxide. So this is a very pure calcite that we're looking at in this formation right here.
Because cavers have caved softly here for 10 years, Cathedral Hall is still pristine. However, not all caves have been so lucky. Many caving trips are made to remove graffiti and pick up trash that careless novice cavers or vandals have left behind. David Foster hopes the efforts of dedicated cavers like our guides and educational efforts by tour cave owners will make his job easier.
My job at the American Cave Conservation Association is to convince people that they need to conserve caves. And that's a very difficult thing to do sometimes because cave animals are not typically cuddly and cute and furry.
His efforts have helped reverse the deterioration of Hidden River Cave in the city of Horse Cave, Kentucky. For decades, the cave was fouled by untreated sewage. Once a treatment plant was built, life came back to the waters of Hidden River Cave's dark zone.
Well, cave animals are kind of like the proverbial canary in the mine. If they're dying off, then that says to me that the water quality is not very good and we better be careful about what we're drinking.
So, conservation is the key to a cave's welfare and to solving the many mysteries still hidden within its walls, like the unexplained formations we find in what is called the Moonscape Room. For now, they remain a mystery of the caverns. As we slosh back to the surface, I can now fully appreciate the caver's passionate dedication to the caver's creed. Take only pictures, leave only footsteps, kill nothing but time. I'm 12 News meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer.
Well, here we are. This is the pit we promised you.
How far down is it, Mary?
It's about 120-foot free fall. Be careful, try not to touch anything through here, you guys.
Okay, boy, that was a tough passage you just came through.
Yes, but